I did not end up having a bonfire last night because it ended up pouring. So that's one really soggy fire pit right now. It rained most of the night from the best I can figure. It's still pretty warm out. Usually when we have big weather events like that, I mean, I guess you can tell if a front's coming in by how much wind, and there wasn't that much wind. It was just a slow, heavy rain. It's cold and humid. I did finish off the wood chips this year. I'm very happy with that. Oops, I'm tripping on things here. My one concern is that the neighborhood will get a little fussed if I keep piling wood chip along here, because originally they came to right here. Look, I remembered gloves. And were almost, I mean, like, they were up to my chin probably, and I'm 5'5". So I guess it was a 5 foot tall and maybe almost 20 foot long of the wood chips here. The good news is they're free and it's easy to get them. Couple of downsides to free wood chips are they haven't been processed at all, so they're still quote-unquote hot. I found that didn't actually pose as much of a problem as much of the hype says it will. As long as there was green showing of the plant coming up through, it would still live, and in some cases it still pushed through. I even put 9 inches deep on top of these lilies here, and you know, they're dormant now, but they did great, and the grass is surrounded. I'm actually going to have to go back through and, yeah, if I want to have this invasive honeysuckle eradicated from this side, I need to do a bit more work here. Now, something I did want to point out is that the wood chip dump location, which is really the only place near me that oops, I fell a little bit, that a full-size dump truck can get, is right up to here. It's not out in the neighborhood, but the good news is it's right along the cliff here. So that was the end of the pile. And I started dragging it up in here. I put them up till about here. And you can see them here. So I could continue that next year. Probably starting all along the top. And then edging towards the cliffside. I have a feeling most of a pile would end up being needed just to get the top of this cliff. Nothing wrong with that, though. That's fine. I do want to put a couple of holes down here because I don't have quite enough holes for the hazelnuts I'm planning on. And of course, would be continuing down the hill. I'd also need to, if I do the wine cap mushrooms, I'd need to be feeding them every year with more wood chips. So that would be part of the related needs there. So, yeah. Figure out how I would do a retainer wall type setup here, and then trim and cover with wood chips and continue to cover deeply with wood chips until everything's just dead. Probably cover with cardboard if I can collect up enough cardboard, and then put the wood chips on top? Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. So, that's nice. My method of application of the wood chips was very, manually moving them. Very much so. It was just, on the wagon I had 2 big buckets. One of them is my old, recycle bin there. And then just pull them and dump it out and spread it around a little bit with, what are those called? Like the garden rake. The wide, flat ones. This has definitely helped. The poor little mulberry in there, that's a native mulberry I planted. I've got another probably third of that roll of the fencing available, which is good, because I might need it. So I'm going to go in the other pathway here. Before running out of wood chips, I was able to apply along where I walk here, at least. And now, of course, it's covered in leaves as well, so that's deepening the mulch. And then I surrounded a lot of what I planted in here in wood chips too, stopping about there. So these are all thornless raspberries and hognut. I have to come out and cut the fennel seed. That's a really nice spice to have, and it's easier to contain if it doesn't go to seed. To help keep the kids and the puppies safe, the holes that I put for the hazelnuts in here are covered in those grates. If you've ever seen the shelves that are just made out of squares that are clipped together with plastic, squares like metal grates like that, that's what those are. And I want to put one more hole down here, and then 2 on the cliff side, and then I'll have enough holes for the number of hazelnuts that I'm getting. Step very carefully here with the leaves on top. It's probably not as stable. Yeah, all my dormant strawberries. You can really see those tires this time of year, but that's okay. The rain helped flatten the cardboard down to where I want it, so that's nice. But you can also see it's a little bit more puddling here than it was before the cardboard was there, so we'll have to think about that. I guess in the method of food forest growing that I do, it's more like an external perimeter fence for food privacy. And then I have like a walkway out here now that the wood chips are everywhere. I can just walk right through. And as the different fruits are on the trees, I just come on out and harvest them. A lot of my trees and bushes are immature. I haven't been able to get any fruit off of them yet, because I've only just started thickening up this part very recently. I'm pondering a couple of additions beyond the hazelnuts, and one of them is possibly a maypop, sending up that big oak there, and possibly, because I hear gummies aren't that stabby, possibly a gummy right here to help with nitrogen support of what should be a sweet cherry. This isn't a good sign. Let's see if I can get a good focus on what's happening here. This sweet cherry has not been a happy camper since the day I put it in, so may also end up switching out to varieties of native plum. I hear the beach plum doesn't spread quite as aggressively. The small native plums are rather cherry-like from my understanding of it, and I really love cherries, but I don't really love the amount of work that's involved in them. This is a red currant, and it is just doing great, finally. When I transplanted that, it was just one little twig. And it took a couple years to do any fruit at all. Hopefully the jostaberry will do just as well. And then I'll have to figure out where I'm putting the next fruit tree here, because while these get pretty tall, they bow down with the weight of their fruit when they're ripe and getting ready. This is the Joe Pie. It's nice to have too, but it's so aggressive, it really sucks up a lot of the water, a lot of everything through here. And then of course my little water collection system here is doing great. That does percolate in. That was a rather outstanding rain event we had yesterday. I did get all my little porch friends nestled in for the winter. So, surprisingly still pretty green out here for late November. I think it's November 24th right now. So it's coming up on December pretty soon. We usually don't freeze the whole way through for quite a while longer. We don't get good solid snow until February anymore. It's either snow or like an ice coating type of ice storm. This would be about the right time, if I'm up to it, to start looking at moving this pear, because it's fully dormant and the ground is friable, however you say that. I had been thinking about digging up down here and putting it down in here. That would be the right time to consider that. I do have 2 seed non-special varieties of hazelnut down here, and then the ones that are going to be down and around the corner are all select improved varieties that have bigger fruit earlier, fruit more abundantly. I got a bundle of 25 and I'm splitting them with a friend. I can see, oh good, my native cherry is doing better now that I put this scrappy hoop around it. This is a sand cherry. It's native to the East Coast. The farthest south it'll go, and it struggles quite a bit there, is Georgia, and it's a farther north kind of thing. It's a little bit like a native plum as well. I have heard that it might need companions in order to fully fruit, so that might be something that I do a row of right here. Or just put another couple. I don't know. Some of the ferns are still doing real well, too. That's nice. Something I'd like to do is go see how the water catchment, sorry I'm running into the hardy kiwi there, see how the water catchment up underneath the elderberry's doing. I did end up pulling in the cart because I didn't want to get rain all over it. To give you an idea how much rain we got yesterday, I was letting the elements rinse out these pans for me. I'm going to use them for holding water underneath pots in the future. Those are for my brother's wedding. Just like, you know, reduce, reuse, recycle, right? And then let the nature do the work. So it looks like we got maybe 2-3 inches all night. It's cold rain though. Unlike summertime when I come out and look, I'm staying inside when the rain's that cold. It's like a 37-degree rain. It's my least favorite. It's hard to tell because this trench has got so many leaves in it. That's okay though. It does look like the ferns went dormant in here. Yeah, there we go. There's a couple of ferns underneath leaves there. We'll let them stay dormant like that. And of course, the elderberry is completely dormant. But this is trying to undo all that hard work I did of clearing the fence. And then I've been thinking about whether or not I want to move that hardy kiwi up here and run it along the fence. I don't know. So, oh, I did get some magnolia seeds planted in addition to this catchment here. One method I'm doing is sowing seeds and then putting my little juice jugs that have the bottoms cut off nestled down over them. I have a couple of really big buckets of these back in, still messy back in here, but it's not as bad. But this shows you what I'm talking about here. It's ocean spray with the bottom cut off. That just keeps the critters out from eating the seeds while they're trying to germinate, is the entire idea there. So I also have bladdernut seeds soaking, and I have staghorn sumac seeds soaking. Those are both waterside crick plants, so I feel like, you know, people say they have a lot of trouble getting them to germinate. I feel like they probably spend a long time floating in water before they actually find soil. So I'm soaking them a really long time before bringing them out. We'll see how they do. I mean, at worst they won't take, and that's okay too. Because it's not like I can't go get more seeds. Yeah. I think this is going to be less shaky because I have gloves and I'm using 2 hands for the most part, and I'm also going quite a bit slower. But I did look up, and we'll probably soon order a really cheap gimbal type thing for cell phones. These videos are all just taken on my cell. Alright, I hope you're having a good one. See if I can take off my glove and hit stop here. Bye.